Hello everybody and welcome back to Battleborn. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ghalt, a close combat specialist using traps, hooks, and his shotgun revolver to make quick work of his enemies. Now you can unlock Ghalt by either hitting level 40 in your command or getting a silver rating on all of the campaign missions. So if you're looking to unlock Ghalt, it's recommended that you play through the entire campaign first because hitting level 40 is going to take a decent amount of time. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at each of Ghalt's abilities and his mutations so you can better understand what to expect from this character. So Ghalt's first ability is the Scrap Trap Mine, a mine that he can place within a short distance of himself. After throwing this down, it will take a few seconds to arm, and then once it does, the first enemy to walk inside of it will end up getting stunned. Any additional enemies will not be stunned by this effect, but after a few seconds, the mine itself will explode, dealing damage to everyone within the radius. Something to keep in mind is that this Scrap Trap Mine can be destroyed if targeted, so make sure to place it in an area that enemies can't see quite as easily. Also, remember that you can hook enemies into your mine, allowing you to get an easy stun on them, as well as lining them up for a good headshot. Now for Ghalt's second ability, you've got the Hook Shot. This will allow you to bring enemies towards you, and with certain mutations, allow you to damage enemies as well, and maybe even debuff them. Something to keep in mind is that when you're using your hookshot ability, try to jump before you actually do it. This will be a little bit harder to aim, but it will reward you a lot more as you'll pretty much prevent any kind of collision with terrain, as well as being able to pull them off ledges if the opportunity arises. And as we already showed off, be sure to hook them into the Scrap Trap mines for easy stuns and headshots. Now for Ghalt's passive ability, the Tactical Shell. The last 4 shots of Ghalt's tactical revolver shotgun will actually deal increased damage to whatever you shoot at. Think of it like Money Shot from Salvador. Good old Salvador. But anyway, you can see as they're lining up here when you're about to get on your tactical shells. These will deal an increased damage to whatever you are fighting and be able to knock them out. Something to keep in mind when using your tactical shotgun is that you can't really do that much damage from far away. Even emptying your entire clip into the enemy isn't going to do that much. You're going to want to get up close and personal with this shotgun. And once you do, you're going to be able to drop pretty much anyone in just a couple of shots, especially if you can land criticals. Now for your ultimate ability, Ghalt will pull out a second shotgun and start blasting his enemy repeatedly with his 2 shotguns. This does massive amounts of damage, and you don't have to do any kind of reloading during this time, allowing you to take out even tanks like Montana. And then one final ability that should be mentioned is that Ghalt's melee is incredibly strong and incredibly fast. If you're able to pin an enemy up against a wall, you can deal massive damage to them and killing them rather quickly. With that all out of the way, let's go ahead and go over Ghalt's mutations now. So for the first mutation that you unlock at level 1, you've got the Big Draw versus Stealth Scrap. Stealth Scrap hiding your scrap traps from being hit by enemies, and the Big Draw allowing you to cheese a little bit to the left and right of your hook shots, making it easier to hit your enemies. Personally, I would go for the Big Draw. At level 2, you unlock Shock Trap versus the Scrappening. The Scrappening dealing 3 extra bombs worth of damage after it explodes, or the Shock Trap dealing 60 damage per second to those standing inside the mine. The Shock Trap is the better option here. As you can see, the bombs don't really do too much damage, which is a little unfortunate because it would be kind of nice, considering it's much harder to hit those, but whatever. For your third ability, you're going to have Slug Rounds versus Pellet Party. Slug Rounds are going to massively increase your range, allowing you to deal damage without actually having to get up close and personal. One thing to note, though, is that you are firing a slug, so it can be a lot harder to actually hit your enemies, while the Pellet Party increases your pellet count, making it easier to hit enemies, but at no increase of damage. So you're still going to have to get up at point blank to do full damage. Now for your next one, you're going to have Hookshot versus Efficient Extractor. Hookshot's going to deal initial damage of 133, which really isn't that much, while the other one will increase your range and speed of your hookshot. Next up, you're going to have Hobbling Shot, which is going to add a slow to your tactical shells, or Boom Stickier, which is going to increase the damage. Both of these are really good if you're playing in PvP, but if you're in PvE, I'd recommend going the extra damage. For your next ability, you've got Drain Chain versus Duct Tape and Baling Wire. The duct tape is just going to increase the health of your scrap trap, which isn't very useful, while drain chain is going to add enough damage to your hook shot, assuming you hit it, to break an enemy shield. Next, you've got speed loader, both barrels blazing. Speed loader is going to reduce your reload time by 25%, which is very, very strong considering how long the reload is on your shotgun, while both barrels blazing is going to make you fire both barrels at the same time, reducing your fire rate but doubling your damage. Next up, you've got big trap versus short fuse. Short fuse is going to make your scrap traps basically trigger instantly, whereas the bigger trap is going to increase the radius by a lot when you compare the two side by side. Personally, I would combine big trap with shock trap, being able to add a massive damage over time effect to parts of the map. Now for your next ability, you've got Here Comes the Hook, or Easy Target. Easy Target's going to make it so that way whatever you hook is going to take increased damage by 15% for about 5 seconds from every target. Very good for focusing down tanks, whereas Here Comes the Hook will allow you to be more aggressive with your hooks since it'll be on a much shorter cooldown, especially if you combine it with other reduced cooldown effects. Now for your final ability, you've got Run and Gun versus Incendiary Shells. Run and Gun is going to make it so that way whenever you hit a major target like a player or a boss enemy, it'll increase your movement speed. Incendiary Shells is going to add a little bit of a damage over time effect to your shotgun shells. If you're playing PvP and you're going to be chasing people, definitely go for the Run and Gun. So that is Ghalt in a nutshell. That's everything that you pretty much need to know about this character. Use your hook shots to displace enemies. Use your scrap traps to stun enemies and strip shields. While depending on how you spec them out, you can also create sort of choke points with the shock trap ability and the big trap. Ghalt has to probably be one of my more favorite characters, but that's mostly because, well, I played a lot of Salvador and I like him a lot. Probably next to Isaac. I'm not entirely sure. But that's Ghalt and everything that you need to know about him. So I hope you all enjoyed this guide. If you did, do me a favor, leave a like on the video, as it takes a lot of time to make these, and I like to make sure that they're good. I'm sorry. These are going to take a while to put out. There's like 25 characters, and it's going to take some time. But anyway, be sure to leave a like on the video, and don't forget to subscribe for future videos as well. I'd also highly recommend that you follow me on Twitter, because it's Twitter. And I feel better if you follow me there, so that way I feel like I have internet friends. There's also Facebook. That's there. That's like a thing that exists. It's alive. I'm sorry. I love you, Twitter. I do, but I'm sorry. But anyway, that's the end of the video, everybody. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one, everyone. Later. Bye-bye.